don't. You're not selling anything.
The Fed's not done, and I'm going to tell you why.
Welcome back to Sean's show, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I'm back in Brooklyn, living it up, living up the end of the world. We're here. I hope you're having a good week, and there's a lot to cover. I've made a tremendous amount of money on the stock market this week. I've made $350. I made $350, and I spent 12 hours staring at charts. So I'm an opportunist. I'm a man who sees his opportunity, and when I'm a man that profits when things go bad. I like Schadenfreude. I like making money off of the suffering of Wall Street assholes. I love it because, I think a lot of, if you follow the stock market at all, which I'm sure you don't, I'm sure you're a fentanyl addict. But again, I said in my podcast, I really think my show is for the top 1% and the bottom 1% of America, maybe the world. There's no in between. I think the value, and that is something that I've thought about a lot, is like, I think that the top 1% and the bottom 1%, economically speaking, Americans, they have a lot of the same values, like I think there's something unique about being at either end of the tail, where you start to like get paranoid about like how all the food is poisonous, which it is, by the way. And like the government is listening. And the only difference is, I guess, if you're rich, then you would know, because you're taught, the people that listen in the government. But the market's down, and we'll get into our first story. I love it. I really think we may be on the verge of a recession. I truly think that a recession may be coming soon. And whenever the market kind of tips over a little bit, you always get these articles from the business like Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal. You always get these articles coming out where all of the big banks will come out with a report, and it'll be like here's one that I found. It says, JP Morgan economist sees 40% US recession chance and risks to, quote, exorbitant privilege. So basically, whenever the stock market, it tips over a little bit, you get these investment bankers and you get these economists, these PhD economists from Harvard or whatever, wherever, and you get them saying that, hey, just so you guys know, just so you know, there might be a recession soon. You can take it from us, the people that caused the last one. Because that's what it is. It's like if you remember the 2008 financial crisis, those companies caused the recession. Like, it's like someone pointing a gun at you and being like, hey, I just want to let you know there's a 40% chance that I might shoot you with this gun. Like, that's the analogy, is like, it's the people that are gonna cause the recession are telling us what the odds of it is. That should be crazy. That should be crazy to everyone. But I think that this is where you're going to get a lot of people that are starting to have doubts about the Trump administration. I think this is the time where, a lot of people's wills are going to be tested. A lot of people's conviction in Trump, it's going to be tested, because the tariffs are coming into play, and no one knows what a tariff is. No one knows who pays. I mean, I guess maybe you do. I don't know. I still don't know, and I'm never gonna know, and I don't fucking care. A tariff. You know who talks about tariffs? People that don't get their dick sucked. I'm not talking about tariffs. I'm getting my dick sucked. You understand? I'm not concerned with import taxes and duties and exports and retaliatory tariffs. I'm interested in in fast cars and cheeseburgers. I'm interested in things that I like. I'm interested in going to jazz at night with the love of my life. I'm interested in I'm interested in indie movies. You know, this is you have to find things that make you happy. You can't just spend all your time reading about, which is what I do, reading about retaliatory tariffs. Now the one of the big aspects of the stock market kind of tipping over a little bit and why it's so scary is that there's really, is that we don't live in a free market. We all know this. Like there's like every industry has just consolidated so much that you have, you may know if you're an investor at all, there's the Magnificent Seven, the Mag Seven, people call them. And it's Nvidia, Google, Amazon, Meta, whatever. And these companies make up such a large percentage of the S&P 500, which is like the top 500 companies by market cap. And anyway, when these companies pull back even like 20, 30%, which is like not a crazy, that could easily happen if it's not happening already. And that's going to fuck up a lot of people's 401ks. It's going to fuck up a lot of people's retirements, and they're going to get mad. And I really feel like we're at the precipice of something crazy. I really feel like it could be recession, it could be World War III, it could be measles, the measles pandemic. It could be, a lot. I don't know. And I don't want to be an alarmist, because I feel like a lot of the times on the show, like I'm an alarmist, and I don't want to worry people. If you get measles and you die, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to die from measles. Now, one of the things that it pisses me off. I'm numb. I'm numb to Elon. I'm numb to him. I can't believe my eyes anymore. We're gonna watch a video shortly, but you may have already seen this one. This was a pretty big story. So, Tesla's getting hit. Teslas around the country are like getting firebombed. Like Teslas are like getting like fucked up. Like they're like bombing. I've seen videos. I'm pretty sure they're like spray painting swastikas on Teslas. This is crazy. This is just 21 hours ago. Trump said this. This is a crazy story. Trump says violence against Tesla is domestic terrorism. Now that's an interesting position to take, considering the CEO of Tesla is South African. I would say it's more like I could see that if it was terrorism against a South African national. Now Tesla, so I don't know what this means. Does this mean Ford? It's okay for Ford? Does this mean it's okay to throw a Molotov cocktail into an Audi dealership? Is that not domestic terrorism? Or is it all domestic terrorism? Because, it's not a bad way to spend a Friday. It's not a bad way to spend a Friday is throwing a Molotov cocktail into a Cybertruck. I'm not advocating for violence. I think it's wrong. I think that, but at the same time, I think it's wrong to bomb a Tesla factory. I think it's wrong to spray paint a swastika on a Tesla car, because you don't know when that person bought that car. That's a big thing, is we have to understand, if you're going to like vandalize a Tesla, you have to understand that some of these people may have purchased a Tesla before Elon did the Nazi salute, right? They may have purchased the Tesla, and again, that doesn't excuse that. Actually, I reversed my statement. That doesn't excuse it. Every one of these people, they drive Teslas and Cybertrucks around, and they're like, I don't support him anymore. I can't believe you. If at any time in your life you dick rode Elon Musk, you deserve a little bit. You deserve a little bit of light vandalism. Because people that drive Teslas are fucking assholes. And they're cheap cars. They're cheap. They're manufactured cheaply. They're like the iPhone SE. Teslas are like the iPhone SE of cars. Like, it's like, I don't want like a watered down shitty version. Just give me the real thing. You know what I mean? But it kind of and there was this photo that went around online where there were like 8 or 9 NYPD officers that were standing guard defending a Cybertruck. Now, I was thinking the same thing that you were thinking seeing that photo. Like my was rock hard. I was like, this is awesome. I want more of my tax dollars spent this way. Why stop there? Also, why do we need 9 NYPD officers guarding a Cybertruck if the Cybertrucks aren't the Cybertrucks like bulletproof? So you're putting, imagine, let's really pause here. Let's say you just got a job at the NYPD, right? You went through the training, which I'm sure was 2 hours long. Half of that training is violating the rights of minorities, how to violate the rights of minorities on the street. And you go through your training and you get your badge and you get your gun and they push you out. And your first assignment is to guard a Cybertruck from, I don't know, the public. And you get there and you're standing there in front of a Cybertruck. You're getting paid to stand in front of a Cybertruck. Like, what goes through your mind as a new cop? Like, I would be upset. I would be mad. I would think my talents are being wasted. I'm an NYPD officer and I signed up. I don't know about you guys. I'd say to my fellow NYPD officer, I'd be like, I don't know about you guys, but I got in this to disenfranchise black people. I don't know why you became an NYPD officer. I got into the game to arrest some black people for selling eighths. Now I'm in front of a Cybertruck. This is not a good use of my skills. I have more value to bring to the force than defending a Cybertruck from blue-haired liberals from Brooklyn that want to spray paint a swastika on a Cybertruck. Now, I want to tie this together. So this is crazy. This is a real story that happened to me. This is a real story. I was running. I love to run. I run all around Brooklyn, and I run for my problems, and I run around Brooklyn. That's how I stay fit. I also snort Ozempic. I freeze the Ozempic powder, and I snort it. And I was running recently, and this is a real story. I was running, and I'm about 2 blocks away from the bridge that goes back to Brooklyn, and I'm like a block away. And this is a real experience. This is a lived experience that I have. A white BMW smashes into this DoorDash driver on an e-bike and sends him flying into the sky. I'm like running, and he like lands in front of me. It was crazy. He landed in front of me, and he's like unconscious. This was like 2 days ago, and I'm on the phone with 911. And I'm screaming. I'm like, someone needs to get these Chipotle burritos here. The guy's unconscious. I need a backup DoorDash driver to get the orders filled. There's Chipotle all over the street. And I call an ambulance, and the ambulance gets there. The guy in the white BMW had ample time to flee. Ample time to flee the scene. But he stayed, thankfully. And the ambulance gets there, and they're looking at this guy, and they put him on a fucking stretcher, and they put him in the ambulance. He's unconscious. His head is like, has blood on it. I'm freaking out. And the NYPD gets there like 18 minutes. I think it was like 18 minutes after the crash. So they'll send 9 NYPD officers to defend a Cybertruck in broad daylight, where there's like hundreds of people around, where, let's be honest, the odds of that Cybertruck getting vandalized are pretty low. But it takes 18 minutes to respond to a white BMW that smashed into a DoorDash driver. And they showed up, and it was me and this black guy that we both witnessed the accident. I don't even know, the crash. And the NYPD shows up, and the first thing they asked the other guy who witnessed it, the black guy, they go, "Were you driving?" And then the guy was like, "Oh, it's because of my color of my skin, right?" And the cops, he was pissed. He's like, "Oh, is that because of the color of my skin?" And the NYPD officers are like, "Take a walk, asshole. Take a walk." And at first I was like, I thought that this guy overreacted that was with me. But then I realized, I was like, they didn't ask me if I was driving. And I'm as white as a fucking, a white Christmas. So I don't know. In my brief experiences with the NYPD, they've either not showed up at all, or they're very late, and they'll only show up if someone is bleeding out of their head. But when it comes to Cybertrucks and private property, all of a sudden they have resources. All of a sudden, the NYPD has resources to spare when it comes to defending a Cybertruck from vandalism. All of a sudden, right? But when there's a crazy guy throwing chairs into the street, right? Or people fighting, they're busy. They're too busy. The resources are constrained. Literally, the only way to get protection from the NYPD is to be in a Cybertruck. That's the only way that you're actually going to get the NYPD to help you, is if the crime happens around a Cybertruck. That would be my advice. Like, if I was a legal advisor and like, or if I was in a situation where I needed the police in New York, it's not calling 911. What you want to do is, if you're getting beat up or you're getting stabbed, what you want to do is find the nearest Cybertruck and start bashing it up. And the NYPD will arrive, and they'll be able to help you out. That's the only way. So Trump wants to defend Tesla, and it's like, and you cannot, if you still think that Elon is not using the federal government to profit and make and benefit his private companies, then you are blind. You have your head, there's no help for you. I cannot help you. Because it's so obvious. It's so obvious that Elon's and it's a sad state of affairs where a private citizen can spend money to buy an election and then hold a marketing event on the White House lawn, which is what he did. Because Tesla's getting a lot of heat, the stock is tanking, which I'm so happy about. I'm so happy that Tesla is tanking. I could not be happier. Tesla's stock going down like 40% has maybe the happiest boy. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I hope that every motherfucker that works at Tesla gets fired so bad. Like truly. And that includes the factory. I don't care. I don't care if you're a minimum wage worker at Tesla. I want it to fail so bad. And it's just crazy that this company is being propped up by the federal government and our taxpayer dollars. And that's the real insanity of Elon Musk and Doge, is that Elon wants to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in the government, which I agree exists. And I agree that we need to do a better job at getting rid of that waste, fraud, and abuse. But you cannot run an agency. You can't be the figurehead of that agency. Doge, right? Department of Government Efficiency. Let me ask you something. Is it efficient? Is it an efficient use of taxpayer dollars to host a White House Tesla showcase for the cars on the White House lawn? Is that a good use of taxpayer dollars? Is that a good use of the president's time? I don't think so. I don't think so. How can you be trying to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse when you are doing effectively like a fucking car commercial on federal property? It's so obvious. It's just so obvious that he does not actually give a fuck about the American taxpayer dollar. And the only reason he cares about national debt is because it's going to affect his portfolio. And if you can't see that, then you need to get the rusty nail out of your brain. Pull the rusty nail out of your brain and wake up. Get Elon Musk's dick out of your ear canal. Get his penis out of your mouth. Get off your knees. You look disgusting. Anyone that continues to support Elon Musk, get off your knees. Get the boot out of your mouth. Get Elon's penis out of your ear canal and wipe the jizz off your mouth and have some dignity. Have some dignity and wake up and realize that this man is not your friend. He is not a friend to the average American citizen. He is not. Wake up. Teslas are cheap. Whenever I Uber and a Tesla shows up, I want to self-immolate. Have you ever tried to open or close a door to a Tesla? Maybe I'm just an idiot, but that's not innovation. That's not innovation. People say Tesla's an innovative company. Making it hard to open and close the car door is not innovation. It's the equivalent of like listening to indie music that no one's heard of and thinking that makes you smarter and cooler. You're just a fucking asshole. There was no reason to change the car door handle. A button to open the car door, that's really, and I know you're going to come back and say, well, he created the EV distance and the batteries is industry leading electric vehicle range. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. So we're going to watch this video about our friend Elon Musk, our good friend, basically raping the federal government and raping the taxpayer with a White House. Let's really break down where we're at in America. I'm just so angry. I don't know. I'm just angry today, guys. The federal government, let me just make this as clear and simple as I can. The White House lawn, which is federal government property, was used to promote a publicly traded private business owned by a private citizen openly. Federal property, the White House lawn, taxpayer funded and kept up by the taxpayer. All the staff that are running the White House, we're paying those taxes. It was used and abused to promote and create a commercial for Tesla, who happens to be owned and not started, by the way, it was not founded, but owned by the president's one of his closest advisors. And if that doesn't scream corruption to you, then you are too far gone. You are gone. I have a bridge to sell you. I have an electric car to sell you. I have some fentanyl to sell you. If you don't think using the White House lawn to promote Tesla isn't a waste of our tax dollars, then you're high. You are smoking crack. And not even good crack. Stepped on shit. You're snorting stepped on cocaine. But we're gonna watch the video. I'm gonna prove it. We're gonna watch the video and I'm gonna prove it to you. And try not to vomit. Let's Let's take a little look here. And I was right. We all saw this coming. The only reason to buy an election is to do shit like this. Let me put it to you this way. Before we watch the video, let me put it to you this way. What if my parents were worth, $1 billion and I donated $50 million to Trump's campaign and I did a podcast? I did Sean's show from the White House lawn. It sounds like a good idea, honestly. But that's what this is. You would say, why is Trump doing a podcast on the White House lawn? That doesn't seem right. And that should be the same feeling that you have seeing a Tesla on the White House lawn. If you're gonna do that for Tesla, you need to do it for Ford and Audi. This is the federal government being selectively this is not capitalism. Republicans are supposed to be the party of the free market. But here we have the federal government selectively favoring one car brand and putting that brand on the steps of the White House, which looks like a plantation, but that's an episode for a different day. Why does the White House look like a plantation? But we're gonna watch. Let's take a look at our beautiful free market economy at work. If you're just listening, Trump is sitting in a Tesla.
This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer.
Hello, President Trump. Are you looking to buy or lease today?
Well, I'm going to buy. And I'm going to buy because, number one, it's a great product, as good as it gets. And number two, because this man has devoted his energy and his life to doing this. And I think he's been treated very unfairly by a very small group of people.
This is bulletproof.
I mean, look.
It's bulletproof? They're standing by the Cybertruck. I'd like to see, is it really bulletproof? Sit in the fucking Cybertruck and let's get the Secret Service to fire the AR-15s at the Cybertruck. See how good your engineers really are. Let's test it out. That's this guy's whole grift. He just knocks on a cheap piece of fucking carbon fiber. Also, fuck carbon fiber. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Fuck carbon fiber. Everyone thinks that like it's super cool and futuristic. I don't even know if it's made of carbon fiber. Whatever it is, I know it's cheap. And it looks like shit. And if it really is bulletproof, sit in that car and let me shoot an AR-15 at the window. How about that? I mean,
in terms of imagination, I think I have a great imagination. Who else but this guy would design this and everybody on the road is looking at it?
Yeah, because it looks like shit. No one's looking at it and going, whoa, who's that? Who's driving that thing? People don't look at Cybertrucks like they look at a G35. Right? They don't look at the Cybertruck like they look at an Audi R8. I don't know. I think that's what the model is. I don't know. I'm just trying to be specific. People do not look at Cybertrucks like they look at cars that they envy. It is not an envious car to drive. If you are driving a Cybertruck, no one envies you. At the very best, they think that you're a fucking idiot. And at the very worst, they think that you're a Nazi bootlicking scumbag. Trump goes, people all over the road are looking at this thing. Because it looks like the cars, it looks like it was drawn by a 3-year-old. Elon Musk has the imagination of a 3-year-old. It looks, it's not aerodynamic. I have a degree in aerospace engineering. Sharp corners are not aerodynamic. Okay? They create drag. And I won't tell you why, because, this is not a math show. But the Cybertruck, it looks like shit. And for the president of the United States to have a goddamn Cybertruck on the White House lawn makes me so sick. It makes me sick. And there's going to be so many people that come after me for saying that. So many people being like, what do you care, Sean? Like, that is really the sickness of Elon Musk fans is this, is you go and you see what's happening in the world and you read the news and you see that the White House lawn was used to promote the Cybertruck. And naturally you get upset. You go, what the fuck? Why was that allowed? And then all of his fanboys come out of the woodwork, these little cockroaches. And they go, well, why do you give a shit, Sean? Why do you care what he's doing? Just live your, why can't we all just live our own, you fucking liberals? You dumb fucking liberals, why can't we all just live our own lives? Why does it affect you? Because I'm a taxpayer, okay? And so are you. And I'm paying. We are all paying to facilitate this. That's why I care. And it also upsets me that the guy that's running the Department of Government Efficiency, the Department of Government Efficiency only applies to things that don't affect Elon Musk's businesses. And I said this like 6 months ago, and people were like, stop spreading misinformation. He wants to gut Social Security. He wants to gut Medicare. This is obvious. These are things that are obvious. It should be obvious. But when it comes to things that would negatively impact Elon Musk's portfolio of businesses, suddenly there's no expense is too big. No dollar should be spared. Spare no expense, right? And we're moving, I don't want to call the US fascist. I don't think we're there yet. I don't want to call the United States fascist. I don't think we're there yet. I think what we are veering towards is statism or some sort of like techno-feudalism where a handful of billionaire CEOs control everything. I don't think that qualifies as fascism. I think fascism would be better. I'd rather live in a fascist country than live in a world ruled by billionaire nerds. I really would. It's really just a crazy time right now. And speaking of a little bit of fascism, we're going to take a look at a story that was very big depending on where you get your news. But there was a free speech. This is a free speech issue. So there was a Palestinian activist / Hamas insurgent arrested. It's so hard to be like centrist when it comes to like Israel-Palestine. You can't even say Israel-Palestine because there's so many people that don't believe Israel, and there's so many people that don't believe in There's so many people that don't believe Israel should exist, and there's so many people that believe Palestine shouldn't exist. So even saying the name of the controversy pisses people off. That's how controversial this topic is the name of the controversy sparks fights. Now I'm openly pro-Palestinian. I label myself that way. I think I'm very comfortable. I don't give a fuck. I am. I'm not like this crazy student of his. I know I look like Netanyahu's son, but I'm pro-Palestine. I look like Benjamin Netanyahu's son that was grew up in Israel for like 20 years and then started doing ketamine and listening to Pink Floyd. And then I moved to Brooklyn and became got into Columbia and became a an activist. Now this story is a pretty big one. So there was if you'll remember the Colombian protests, that happened, not in the country of Colombia. At Columbia University, there were after October 7th, there were a lot of protests at Columbia University, and the cut to now, one of the main organizers of those protests has been arrested by ICE, and so he's a green card holder. He's a permanent U.S. citizen, and I'm going to read you a little bit from this story, and then we'll talk about it. So check this out. Immigration agents arrest Palestinian activist who helped lead Columbia University protests. Federal immigration authorities arrested a Palestinian activist Saturday who played a prominent role in Columbia University's protests against Israel. Now, my first question is, what is a prominent role? Was he the guy that was like ordering the food? Was he one of the guys that was like, we can't do bagels? That looks terrible. That was no matter how you feel about it, that was a funny little gem at the protests. Is like, there was, I think, this thing that came out that was like, no bagels at the protests. Again, it's just, that was like a funny little thing, like just a little like funny little gem. So I don't know. Again, so he was allegedly had a prominent role in organizing the protests against Israel at Columbia University. And he was, we don't know when. Let's see. Let's take a look. So Mahmoud Khalil was inside his university-owned apartment Saturday night. So Saturday night, he was arrested by ICE and taken into custody. Now, I guess what they're saying is that he and his wife's pregnant. I mean, like, fuck, man. What they're saying is that he is promoting terrorism, right? Which is what they always say. Let's see. Here's the justification for this. In a message shared on X Sunday evening, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, said that the administration will, quote, be revoking the visas and or green cards of Hamas supporters in America so that they can be deported. Now, I have a question. Is it a crime to support Hamas in America? What about the KKK? So why? I mean, the KKK is like alive and well in America, right? Other hate groups are. So why is it that just, and again, that was a Freudian slip. I didn't mean to call Hamas a hate group. But again, it's complicated. That's the whole point of. That's why this is so hard to talk about, right? But why are we focusing, again, the labeling of certain groups? Any group can be labeled a hate group. I mean, I will label the IDF a hate group, right? So I labeled the IDF a hate group, and now anyone that supports the IDF, they get to be deported too, right? It's like, it's just so clearly biased. What they're doing is clearly so biased by influence by lobbyists, AIPAC and other lobbyists. But like, this isn't, I think the reason this story is so big is because, the protests, I don't think they even got that violent. Like, organizing a protest is not a crime. And that really goes back to the irony of this whole administration, is that like, that it's ironic that Marco Rubio is on X, right? Talking about, it's ironic that Marco Rubio is on X and he's talking about deporting people that are vocally support Hamas, on a platform where, on X, which is a platform where an actual neo-Nazi is, Nick Fuentes. Hey, if you're going to, here's my take on this shit. If you're going to deport Mahmoud Khalil for supporting and organizing a protest at Columbia University, by all means. You know who else you need to deport? Nick Fuentes, a neo-Nazi, an actual self-identified neo-Nazi. That's who you have to deport too. You can't. And the reason they're not doing it is very obvious to me. It's because they want it's because of racism, obviously. And you know, the crazy, and here's why you always need a white guy. I wish I had been there with him, truly. Because you always need a white guy that's seen too many YouTube videos of police encounters. Like if I was with Mahmoud when he got arrested by ICE, he would still be free. I'm telling you guys. If ICE shows up, if ever ICE shows up and tries to arrest someone and I'm around, you bet your fucking ass they're gonna get hired at ICE by the end of the interaction. If I'm hanging out with people and ICE shows up and tries to arrest someone, by the end of that interaction, I'm going to have the ICE agents arrested because of my knowledge of the Constitution. That is the power. And everyone shit on me for like watching these YouTube videos of cops. But like, you got to understand that police and ICE and cops, they have this Jedi mind trick shit. They play these Jedi mind tricks where they walk up to you and they'll ask cops are really good at manipulation. They manipulate you to get you to give up your rights. They ask you like negatively framed questions. Stuff like, "Hey, do you mind where you been today? Do you mind if I search your car? Where have you not been today? Could you sit down for me? Would you mind sitting down for me?" All these questions, right? Would you mind if I searched you? Could I do a quick pat down? You know, all these like little simple questions that slowly get them. That's where they slowly ease their way into fucking you and giving up your rights. And you know, that's why it's always good to have a guy like me, an autistic guy who loves knowing his rights. Because I'm telling you, if you hang out with me and the cop shows up, I know the script. The cop shows up, the first thing I'm going to say when the cop shows up is, "Officer, I understand you're just trying to do your job, but you're a fascist scumbag pig and you can suck my dick." That's how I start any police interaction. I start every police interaction by saying this. The cop shows up. I go, you're a Nazi. All cops are bastards. And you can pry my ID from my cold, dead hands. Bitch. Like, no, what I actually do is you go, "What's your reasonable articulable suspicion that I've committed a crime?" And you will be free. All the pussies will dry up immediately around you because for some reason, women don't like it when you know your rights. I don't know. That's something I've noticed. Something I've noticed is like women don't like it when you know your rights. Like women really want you to just do what the cop says. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe this is an evolutionary thing in female brains. And I'm not trying to generalize too much here, but I know my rights and I don't give a fuck who knows. So I believe this guy was arrested without any actual criminal charges. Here's what they said. McLaughlin signaled the arrest was directly connected to Khalil's role in the protests, alleging he, quote, "led activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization." Well, what if I have a George Bush celebration party? That would be me leading an activity aligned to the George Bush family, another alleged designated terrorist organization, right? Who is a terrorist and who is not? That's the real question. But they're basically deporting this guy because he wanted to protest Israel. So he wanted to use his right to. So it's okay. So we all care about Trump and this administration. They all care about free speech until it's free speech that's inconvenient for you. Then all of a sudden it's not about free speech. It's about national security. Right? So that shit is scary, man. It's very scary. Now let's see. I hope you're making some money on the stock market, guys. I'm making a lot of money. I know that was no transition. I'll wrap it up with a good story here. So this one, I'm sorry, guys. This is just me being angry today. So I believe this is the Commerce Secretary. So one of Trump's cabinet picks had said something crazy. And I know that's hard to say, but I know that's a hard bar to reach, but check this out. So Trump's Commerce Secretary, Lutnick, has said that, quote, Trump's policies are worth it, even if they lead to a recession. Guess what this asshole's net worth is? $2 billion. Here's a quote from him. These policies are the most important thing America has ever had. Lutnick told CBS News in an interview, when asked whether or not they would be worth it if they led to a recession, he said it's worth it. That is crazy. Then he quickly added, the only reason there could be possibly a recession is because the Biden nonsense that we had to live with. These policies produce revenues. They produce growth. They produce factories being built here. So he's talking about the tariffs. He's talking about these measures that Trump is initiating that purportedly are going to turn America around. So far, I think the market is down for the year. And I guarantee you once the market's down 4% this year, guys. And I know that a lot of you don't pay attention to the stock market because you're addicted to fentanyl, but it affects you. If you have a job, you may get laid off. If the market gets hit, it has a lot of effects that happen, reverberating effects. Now I don't know, guys. I think it's just funny. It's just funny that like a billionaire, and this goes back to what I was saying at the top of the episode. All of these Wall Street guys, they love to warn you that a recession is coming because they're insulated from it. And of course, the Commerce Secretary, who has $2 billion, doesn't give a fuck if there's a recession. Of course he doesn't care. He can still go to Cancun. You know who should care? You. Me. My parents are landlords. But it could still hurt me. It could hurt us. But the Commerce Secretary doesn't give a fuck. And so that's really the world we live in now. Is like you have all of these billionaires playing with our lives. They're playing with our lives as if they're little pawns in a game of Risk. That's where we're at. And you know, they want a recession. I do too, by the way. I want a recession so bad that these billionaires get wiped the fuck out. It'll never happen. But like these guys are like literally they're hoping for it. And that's what really upsets me about this shit is the Commerce Secretary said that even if there's a recession, it's worth it to enact Trump's policies. How about you don't speak for people? How about you sit the fuck down in your leather chair? Okay? How about you don't tell the American people whether or not a recession is worth it? How about you leave that to your constituents? Right? I mean, it's gross. I really, really just like, Just a lot of bad news this week, guys. A lot of bad shit's happening. Excuse me. I'm trying to think of what I want to wrap on. Let's wrap on like a fun little tech thing, shall we? Give me one sec, guys. Let's see. There was an article that I wanna I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find the article. I'm unprepared. The show is free. Fuck you guys. Give me one moment. Oh, here it is. So, I don't know. I've been weirdly getting into food lately and like trying to work on my diet. And this is something that I want to talk about. So, there's sort of a backlash against like, you know, like Beyond Meat and all these like Beyond Meat sounds like a porn site. Anyway, there's all these like, you know, new startups in Silicon Valley that are like creating lab grown meat and stuff that tastes like meat, but it's actually just chemicals. The South, Mississippi, are now banning that stuff. And I think it's interesting because I wonder if they're banning it because they actually, I don't think they're banning it because they give a shit about the health of people. I think they're banning it because they don't want more competition. You know that this is just a bunch of farmers being like, have you seen this bullshit? My son eats Beyond Meat. Not even real. I killed the cow. He eats Beyond Steak. We gotta ban this shit. So the Mississippi bill will make it illegal for anyone to manufacture, sell, or distribute cultivated meat in the state. Now, what is the definition of cultivated meat? I don't know. Lab grown. I mean, I don't know. I kind of support it, guys. Maha, make America healthy again. I kind of support it. It seems like a lot of people are getting pissed about this stuff. I've actually never tried it to my knowledge. I think it's like I don't know. I think it's unhealthy. Anything that comes out of Silicon Valley, I'm not going to touch anymore. Because 10 years later, they're like, hey guys, it causes cancer. That's really like Beyond Meat 10 years from now. Same with Ozempic, all these big companies. It's just like there's no free lunch except for the Beyond Meat. But there's no free lunch. You can't fake it. Like I know that there's going to be a class action lawsuit where like Beyond Meat makes your dick smaller. And I cannot afford that. I cannot afford that, people. Let's see. The steady drip of state bans has coincided with a downturn in investor enthusiasm for cultivated meat, lab-grown meat. Just $226 million was invested in cultivated meat startups in 23, down from about $1 billion in 22. It's gross. It's disgusting. I mean, the only places we should really be using lab-grown meat is to feed our heroes on the NYPD. I'll support that. I will support the NYPD defending a Cybertruck as long as they're only allowed to eat lab-grown meat on the job. No donuts, no hot dogs. I want you to eat cultivated lab-grown steak created from the fetus from goat fetuses or however the fuck they make this shit. That's what I want. Okay? That's fair. You want to use our taxpayer dollars to defend a Cybertruck? That's fine. You're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to eat alien lab-grown meat. You're going to have to eat disgusting, fake, cancer-inducing meat. That's the cost. But that's our show, guys. Review on Spotify, review, subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment on YouTube, and join the Facebook group and link in the comments to ask a question. I haven't gotten any questions in a minute, so please ask a question. It helps make the show more engaging. And see you at the Patreon. Join the Patreon, where I'm going to continue to talk shit. And stay safe out there. Have some lab-grown meat. Check it out. And, don't go vandalizing anything, okay? This is a podcast of peace. Just like the Columbia protests were peaceful and January 6th was mostly peaceful. We're all about peace on Sean's show. So, have a good one. Peace out.